Police stop and search powers are to be restored to try to combat knife crime. The Home Secretary said the use of stop and search had taken 50,000 weapons off the streets over the past 3 years. But the Independent Office for Police Conduct Watchdog said that black people were 7 times more likely to be stopped and searched than white people. And Asian people were 2.5 times more likely. Well, let's go live to North London, where we can talk to Ken Hines, Executive Member of Haringey Independent Stop and Search Monitoring Group. Ken, just explain to us a little bit about your group and what evidence you've gathered.
Yeah, well, we are a grassroots group, and what we do, we monitor and interact with the police around stop and search, holding them to account on behalf of our community. So we support our young, vulnerable people in bringing complaints against the police when they think that they've been unfairly targeted or unfairly stopped. We support them when they're going through the legal system, if they believe that they have been wrongfully charged with an offence of usually assault or obstruction of police, when it's usually, it beggars belief that you've got no criminal record. So why are you going to try to attack a police in doing an interaction that's supposed to be able to allay or confirm their suspicion about you doing any kind of wrongdoing? And
of course, the Home...
Sorry, Ken. We're also well aware that 80% of the stop and search lead to no further action.
I was just going to say that the Home Secretary says that it leads to knives coming off the streets, and that this isn't going to be a universal rolling out of stop and search. It's going to be in specific areas at specific times. Does that give you any reassurance? Not
at all, because we've been here before under Section 60. Section 60 doesn't mean there's no suspicion. They don't need to have any suspicion about stopping and searching you. But what we've seen in the past when Theresa May was there and what she recognised, what it did, it created a culture of lazy policing, where the police didn't have to throw out the rule book around reasonable suspicion and about professionalism when it comes across a stop and search. Now, to me, it smacks of desperation. Now, again, I understand, and I'm with the Home Secretary in wanting to find a better way of getting more knives and guns off our street. And I would question that 50,000 weapon searches that have been taken off the street, because in their own figures says that in 1 year, they took off 300 knives after 20,000 searches. That is less than 1 knife per week per borough, which is a very poor return, because we get a better return when grassroots groups interact with the young people and get them to stop carrying knives.
And would you say that is the better way? What is the better way of stopping knife crime in your view?
It's a combination of deterrent, I believe, stronger sentencing, less tolerant for people carrying knives, and also diversionary, that is working and supporting and resourcing grassroots groups that's dealing directly or interacting with the young people who are more likely going to be caught up in that kind of vicious circle. We've got to break that cycle, and we're not going to break it by giving police the power to do something that they're not very good at doing. They're not very good at communicating or not very good at de-escalating, and they definitely have not got the confidence from the black community about the way that they are actually conducting their stop and search. Let me say this much. At the height of Section 60, back in 2013, 2014, as a black person, we were, as under Section 6, under PASAP, we were 6-7 times more likely to be stopped and searched. But under Section 60, we were 20 times more likely to be stopped and searched. So what do you think is going to improve this time around, unless we have greater transparency and accountability? The mayor's office, he's got an action plan. He recognised that what the police are doing aren't doing it quite right and aren't quite doing it quite effectively. And he's setting up a whole monitoring group to see the effectiveness of that sort of policing.
Do you think stop and search could make the situation worse rather than better?
When you're saying worse, we're already saying that 4 out of 5 stops and search lead to no further action. But the interaction with the young people could lead to that young person being what we call stopped and scarred. And when they're stopped and scarred, they're less likely to turn to the police for any kind of support. And their trauma also becomes their family and friends' trauma, and they're less likely to engage with the police when, serious crimes being committed. Don't get me wrong, we have got issues. And people often say is black youngsters attacking other black youngsters. So we're there as victims and also as perpetrators. But so why are we going to the establishment to try to find a way out of this when we should be coming to people like myself, who's in the black community and has some influence, to better resource us so that we can actually do a more effective work in our community?
OK. Ken Hines from Haringey Stop and Search Monitoring, thank you very much.